Geico presents Our Town, Season 4, a 30-minute podcast produced by Best Bark Communications, a small but fierce client-centered marketing company powered by decades of experience and well-established business networks. Geico, 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance. Now, here's your host, Andy Ockershausen.
This is Andy Ockershausen. This is Our Town. And this is our first opportunity to talk to this gentleman on the air. And I'm so delighted because the Reverend Monsignor Salvatore is today with us. And he is the head man, the head priest from St. Patrick's. I think St. Patrick's could be the oldest Catholic church. Is that correct?
It is, Andy. It is the first church established in the federal city. Goes back to 1794.
I mean, it's an incredible history of St. Pat.
It is.
And it's a celebrity church, too, for a while. A lot of people got married there, but I guess they moved to new parishes and so forth. But I've known St. Pat. I'm from Northeast Washington. My grandfather was here. He was a baker. I never knew him, but it's someplace at 5th and G. Mm-hmm. And I think his parish might have been St. Patrick's.
At 5th and G, it probably would have.
That's close, isn't it?
Very, very close.
There wasn't a lot downtown in those days, and there wasn't much to downtown. But Sal, we're so delighted to have you and to talk to you. In addition to your work with the clergy, you are the chaplain for the police and fire departments of the greatest city in the world, our town, Washington, D.C.
I am. I've been very blessed for the last 32 years to serve the first responders in the District of Columbia, as well as some of the federal agencies that are here.
Do you do work in the county work? Do you help out if they need you?
Don't do anything in the county. There's enough going on in our town. But I work with, Metropolitan Police is when I first came on back in 1986 as their chaplain, and then it's expanded over the years where I work with Capitol Police, Park Police, Secret Service, do some work with ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
You've got a lot of people depending on you in bad times, because that's when they call for you mostly in bad times, correct?
Well, thank God they don't only call in bad times.
No,
they call
when there's
graduations and when there are promotions. They also call when they want to get married. They call when they want to have their children baptized. So it's a parish. It's a unique parish.
The whole departments of your parish.
Right.
And the same thing with the fire and rescue people.
Correct. Yeah. I said it's an amazing ministry that when I was ordained back in 1978, never thought that I would be doing this kind of ministry. In my first assignment in Tacoma Park, the volunteer fire department in Tacoma asked me if I would come and be a chaplain to the fire department.
Did you have a parish out there?
I did. I was brand new. I was newly ordained in 1978, and I was the associate in the parish.
And what was the parish?
Our Lady of Sorrows in Tacoma Park.
We had one of those in Anne Arundel County that Janice and I belong to.
Okay. So
Our Lady of Sorrows.
When the firefighter said, we need you to be a chaplain, I said, well, what exactly does that require? And they said, you come to our monthly meeting, open it with a prayer. I said, I can do that. And I did that for a few months. And then after a while, they said, why don't you ever come down and ride with us?
Aha.
I said, ride on the fire engine. It's like every little boy's dream. Even when they're older, it's still their dream.
So
I started doing that. And they taught me some of the, apparatus. I never fought fires. That was not my job. But I did learn how to hook up hoses and be there with them and do runs with them.
You have to learn it, Father.
Exactly. So that's where it all started in Tacoma Park. And then 1986, I became chaplain to D.C.
Well, that was osmosis. I mean, they must have heard about your work out there, and they wanted you to work with them. And so, your popularity spread, Father.
They did. I actually thought I thought my popularity was over when I left Tacoma Park because I was stationed in D.C. And there was a chaplain in D.C. that had been chaplain for years. And then he asked me to cover for him for a month, and I did. And then about a year later, he asked me if I was interested in coming on as part-time chaplain. And I said I'd love to. And then it became full-time.
And they were both police and fire at the time?
At that time, it was police and fire. It was just police and fire.
And now you've added almost... I lived through that with Heroes, because we started out as Heroes. It Bud started in 1964. It was to help D.C. police and fire. And then it spread, as you know now, we're in 5 or 6 counties, and almost half of the population of the East Coast is Heroes. But it all grew from that. Yeah, the beginning.
The federal agencies, back about 20 years ago, started to expand and ask clergy from different denominations to become chaplains, and so the federal agencies have realized they need some support also.
Absolutely.
Secret Service just brought on 100 chaplains throughout the entire country.
Is that right?
Yes, wow. Yes. So,
for they're doing the good work. So that got you involved very deeply in the community, and as that was your love, that was not your avocation. And I'm going to take a break here now. We're going to come back and talk about Father Sal and St. Patrick's and what you have done for our town. This is Andy Ockershausen talking to Monsignor.
Technology Truths, brought to you by Geico.
Technology Truths.
Truth. You have 14 login passwords, and you can't remember any of them.
Doug 1. Doug 2. Doug is awesome. Doug is awesome 1, 2, 3.
Truth. It's so easy to switch and save on car insurance at geico.com.
Doug is super cool __ exclamation point 1985. Knew it.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
This is Attorney Mike Collins. Come to my seminar and I'll explain in plain English all you need to know about wills, trusts, taxes, probate, and how to keep your money in your family. I'll show you how to eliminate those dread death taxes and avoid the expense and delay of probate. See how our Reservoir Trust can protect your family's inheritance from lawsuits and the divorce court. Thousands of your neighbors have already attended. So watch the mail for your special invitation and register now at MikeCollins.com. That's MikeCollins.com.
You're listening to Our Town with Andy Ockershausen. Brought to you by Best Bark Communications.
This is Andy Ockershausen. This is Our Town. And I'm having a wonderful conversation. And I apologize for calling Monsignor Salvatore by his first name, but we know each other. But his name is Criscuolo. Criscuolo?
Criscola.
Crisola.
No, Criscola.
Criscola. I thought there was a U in there.
There is a U, but it doesn't mean you have to use it.
Criscola. It's silent U.
It's silent.
The Reverend Monsignor Salvatore Criscuolo is the Reverend Monsignor of St. Patrick's Parish, as I believe the oldest parish in the city of Washington.
It is, Andy.
And had a wonderful, wonderful time. And you moved from Tacoma Park downtown?
I moved from Tacoma Park, and then I was sent to Assumption Church over on Martin Luther King Avenue in Southeast. Okay. And then from there, Our Lady Queen of Peace, Eli Place, Southeast. And then I was sent to St. Ignatius in Oxon Hill, Maryland.
Oh, I know St. Ignatius.
And that's when that's when the ministry became full-time to law enforcement and all our first responders. And then after 9/11, a year later, I was asked to possibly move into the city so I'd be more available. And I did, and that's when I moved into St. Patrick's.
When did you start on the bikes with the motorcycles?
On the motorcycles, it's 20 some odd years ago. I actually went down to a Rolling Thunder over 20 years ago, and I drove as chaplain, and I wanted to, be out there with the police who were out there and give me an opportunity to see them. But I couldn't get through the streets because all the streets were blocked off with a couple 100,000 motorcycles. So that Tuesday after Memorial Day, I went down to the academy and I said to the director, I'd like to learn how to ride a motorcycle.
Wow.
And he was very, very hesitant. And he said, well, this has not been done before. How about we give you mountain bike training? I said, I don't want mountain bike training. I'd like to learn how to ride a motorcycle. And they taught me, and I rode.
What academy did you speak?
The Police Academy.
Police Academy,
Metropolitan Police Academy over by Blue Plains. So my first day of riding was on the 4th of July of that year, and Chief Fred Thomas saw me on the scooter. It was a 250 at that point. And he looked at me and said, what are you doing on this? And I said, Chief, I took the course, and I have a license with your name on it.
Here I am.
That was the 4th of July. On the 5th of July, I was called into the police department by an assistant chief who said, you're grounded. And he said, the chief feels it's too dangerous. So I let a couple of days go by, and I spoke to Chief Thomas, and I said,
I remember him.
I really, really would like to do this. And he said, it's never been done. And I think that was the problem. It's never been done.
Right. The trailblazer.
So, yeah. So
I said that. Yeah. You are a trailblazer.
Well, I didn't know I was doing that, but I guess I did. And he gave me permission, and it's been that way ever since. And then the police were giving me grief because I was riding a little 250, and they were riding Harleys, and they said I needed to learn how to ride a Harley, or they wouldn't let me ride with them.
Right.
And I learned how to ride a Harley, and I've been riding a Harley now ever since. So.
And the wonderful thing about it, they do all your maintenance and work with you on the bikes.
They do. They're very supportive, and it gives me an opportunity to get out there during the parades, demonstrations, just to be out there with the men and women.
You get to see all the guys and the people you work with.
It's important. It's important to be out there.
So, Sal, have you got any? What do you do in parade? You don't participate in the parades when you.
Oh yeah, I ride in the parade.
Oh, do you?
I ride in the parade with them. Yeah, they
have to look for you now.
Well, they all come down in that V.
In the V,
and
yeah.
they put me in the middle, so I'm not messing up the V.
Protect each other.
Yeah. So 4th of July, Memorial Day, they're very accommodating, and I think they get a kick out of their chaplain riding with them also.
I believe it.
So,
well, how about the fire guys? Now you show up at fires, of course.
Not as often as I used to. They have another chaplain that they brought on a few years back, and I still get involved somewhat with them. And if they need me, they have my number and they will call. But they now have a group of firefighters who are chaplains. And when I became pastor of St. Patrick's in 2004, the time became more and more limited as for me being able to get out and
it's
serve.
Such an important post, St. Pat. To my way of thinking, I know what downtown Washington is. I know what St. Pat means to our town. And that's been a wonderful experience for you, of course, to be there.
It's been an amazing experience, and to this day, and I've been there since 2004, I will walk around in the church every so often by myself, and I look around and I look up to the heavens, and I say to the good Lord, I still can't believe you put me in charge of this. So he has a great sense of humor. But it really is a historic parish. It's a very important parish for downtown.
Absolutely.
We serve,
our town.
Yeah, our town. We serve the people in that area that are coming to Mass on a daily basis. The church is open from 7 o'clock until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I don't care what time you walk into the church, there's always going to be somebody in there saying a prayer or making a visit. And tourists galore, which is excellent because of all the hotels we have in our town.
Oh, yeah.
In that area, it's...
visitors.
Yeah. And we have repeat visitors because they'll come back each year for the convention that they went to the year before. I just had it happen last Sunday. The lady came to me and she said, I come here every year when I'm in town for the convention. And she said, I see you're still here. So I said, well, are you happy about that or sad?
What did I do wrong?
She goes, it's good to see a familiar face when I'm out of town.
But that's a great feeling, though.
It is. It really is. And the history of the parish became even more historical 3 years ago when Pope Francis came to visit us.
Well, I remarked on that, and we were so happy that he came to Washington, and he went to St. Patrick, which means a lot to our town because that is in the middle of our town, and it was worldwide coverage, and I know you were deeply involved to have him in your flock that day.
It was quite an experience.
Oh, I'm sure.
From March, when I received the phone call and that he'd be coming, And when the auxiliary bishop called, he said, the Holy Father is probably going to stop at St. Patrick's, but at this point you can't say anything. And I said, this is worse than confession. I mean, I don't have any problem keeping those secret, but the Holy Father is coming to St. Patrick's and I can't say anything. But the Secret Service started showing up.
Yeah.
And they came 3 or 4 times in March and April, and the staff started wondering why they were coming.
Who planned the luncheon for the Catholic Charities?
That was Catholic Charities that planned that.
And that was a great event, too, because that got on television.
It was wonderful that the Holy Father stayed in St. Patrick's for about 20 minutes and spoke to the people who were present. And then he went and he blessed the clients at Catholic Charities that they serve on a faithful basis, and spent some time with them. And then he left to go back to the nuncio. A remarkable man. I mean, he had been at Congress that morning, addressed the Hill, then came to St. Patrick's, then went to Catholic Charities and spent time there. And he's not exactly a young man, and his schedule is just.
But he is Italian.
He
gives him a lot of energy.
Yeah, and
that's true.
He then he left here, went to New York, and then to Philadelphia, and his schedule was just as
busy.
Hectic and busy.
But to have him in our town was such a blessing in a lot of ways, and the publicity and so forth. I know for Catholic Charities it was a great event. To watch they sat down to have lunch. As soon as the Pope arrived, the lunch was over. Boy.
Yeah.
They crowded around him.
Yeah,
I loved it.
He came out the door at Catholic Charities and blessed the food, and people were supposed to sit down and eat, but they didn't want to sit down and eat. They wanted to see the Holy Father. That's the way he is. He's just like a magnet. He's a magnet.
Janice saw him. The other Pope, the Pope before this, when she saw him at this baseball park,
Benedict.
And this year she went to Catholic University. Didn't you know? Where did you go?
Yeah, we went to the Basilica.
Basilica to see the Pope.
When he canonized, to the canonization of the saints.
Very exciting.
So, yeah,
He made such an impact on our town.
He really did, and it's so good to see the response from the people in our town. It's a positive response, and faith and religion and denomination did not play a part
make
in
a bit of difference.
The Holy Father,
and they all knew it.
Everybody wanted to get. I started getting phone calls when it was announced in June that he would be coming, and for the rest of the summer, I had many friends.
Oh no!
Many friends.
People we didn't even know
Yeah.
were friends. Yeah. But that is St. Patrick's is the attraction.
Exactly.
And our town's attraction. So that's a great tribute to you to make you Monsignor, which means you're in charge of that parish.
Right, as the pastor there.
And that's just, to me, it's so impressive. And I love the old, the formation of that church. I love the old brickwork or the stonework. It's just a blessing.
The present
Absolute
church,
blessing.
the present church was built in 1885, so it goes back a few years.
Right.
And we, do my best to keep it up. It's a historic church. It's a church that's visited by hundreds every week, and it's an example and a beacon in our town to what it stands for.
It's
and
wonderful.
The doors are open to all who want to come in for a visit.
Well, Father Sal, you've done a great job with it for a lot of reasons, and I want to talk to you about the original Father Sal, not before you were ordained. This is Andy Ockershout, and this is Our Town, and I'll be right back.
Hi, Tony Sybil here to tell you about Tony and Joe's and Nick's Riverside Grill at Washington Harbor in Georgetown. Spectacular new restaurants. We've spent a lot of time rebuilding. You'll love it. It's really fantastic. For any information, you can go online to tonyandjoes.com. It'll be a wonderful experience for the whole family. Call 202-944-4545 to make reservations. Everything is fabulous. You've got to come down and have some wonderful food.
Hi, I'm Charles Mann. For athletes like me, playing every down in a pro game is like getting in a car accident. After years of playing football in Washington, my body is broken. I've had countless surgeries and joint replacements. I've been looking for a non-surgical treatment since I ended my career. I heard a radio ad for a seminar about alternative treatment. It's called regenerative medicine, which stimulates your own body to heal and repair itself. No surgery, no more pain. That got my attention. I went to a seminar to learn firsthand all about it. Now you too can benefit and receive this treatment. This is the same procedure that pro athletes use to quickly and effectively recover from injury. If you're looking to eliminate your pain and arthritis, or if you thought surgery was your only option, take the first step like I did. Call 410-787-7250. Register for the next seminar and learn more about this breakthrough procedure. Seating is limited. Register now by calling 410-787-7250 and start living life again.
You're listening to Our Town with Andy Ockershausen.
This is Andy Ockershausen, and this is Our Town. I'm having a wonderful, lively conversation with the Reverend Monsignor Criscuolo. I'm going to get that right yet, Criscuolo. I'll get it right, Father Sal.
There you go.
But I'm going back before you were Father Chris. You were just a waif, and you were born and raised in New Haven, Connecticut.
I was born and raised in New Haven. Have a sister who still lives in Connecticut, Milford, Connecticut. My parents are
Sister
now
Marie.
deceased. My sister Marie, yes. And my parents are now deceased, and they gave both of us the foundation that we have built on today. And still go back, still call Connecticut home when I say I'm going to go home to see my sister.
You have no accent, Father.
None at all.
Not to me. Did you agree with that, Jack?
Yeah.
He had no accent.
A little bit.
A little bit. So
we have relatives in Rhode Island. As soon as you cross the border, it's a different world.
That's further north. It is. So I decided early on that I talked about becoming a priest, and my parents were great about it. They were supportive, but they were not over supportive.
Was this when you were in high school you decided?
I talked about it a little bit in 8th grade and then throughout high school. But in high school, I dated, and I went to proms, and I went to sporting events, and
a good background.
Yes,
for being a priest.
Yes. So when I graduated in 1968, I went to my pastor and said I'd like to enter the seminary, and he knew of a seminary down in Kentucky.
Yes, I see that.
And so I went down there and spent 4 years at St. Mary's. And then from there, I went to Mount St. Mary's in Emmitsburg,
and
Maryland.
wonderful school.
Beautiful place.
Is that a Jesuit school?
No, it's run by different priests from different orders and dioceses throughout the country.
I know it's a fabulous school in Emmitsburg.
And there I met a couple of the students who were studying for this diocese, and met their vocation director and talked to him, Monsignor Curlin, and decided, I think I'd like to be ordained and be a priest in this area. And Monsignor Curlin.
Is there competition for that particular location, or
for the diocese? No, there isn't. In this day and age, if most men will stay in their diocese, but in this particular diocese, in the Washington Archdiocese, the majority of the men are from someplace else, like the majority of the people in this town are from someplace else.
Right, absolutely.
A lot of the men have gone to school here, Catholic University, American University,
Georgetown,
Maryland, Georgetown. Then got jobs, and then decided, I think I want to become a priest. But they've been in the area, so this is the area.
They're comfortable, right?
They're very comfortable. It is an amazing area, wonderful town. I've had so many opportunities as a priest being in this diocese that, again, when I was ordained in 1978, I didn't have a clue as to what I would be doing. And it's probably just as well, because if I had a plan, I probably would have messed it up. But God,
so it just happened.
God had the plan.
The good Lord takes care of you.
He doesn't mess it up. No. So.
And having all of these opportunities, you just to think the people that frequent your parish, the people of the world, maybe, because it's Washington, D.C.
Yes. We get visitors from all over the world. I had a couple last week from Australia. Indonesia. I mean, it is every week they're coming to Washington, to our town, to visit it. There are over 20 million visitors that come here every year. And thank God they find St. Patrick's.
Well, Father, I know the what's going on in the church now, because we're all citizens of it, and it's important to us. And, these are things that happen over time, and they have their events or non-events, and then that'll disappear. That's my estimation. As a layman. Whatever the church is going through is not unusual. The church has been through hard times in the past, but that will die down. it's still the good Lord's going to take care of us. I'm sure of that.
The reason why the church is still here after 2,000 years is because the good Lord founded the church.
That's right.
And continues to guide the church through the Holy Spirit.
Absolutely.
So that's why we're still here.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Amen.
But we're all part of it. Well, Father, do you have a career path? I mean, how long can you stay? Obviously, you're very active. You're very, very involved. And so there's no limit on time. Is that correct?
Well, we can retire at 75.
And
I actually have 2 retired priests that are living with me who are a great help.
I'll bet.
Father Fred and Father McKee. They help with Mass and
they can
hear
serve
confessions.
with you in Mass?
Yeah, they're excellent. And a lot of times if I get called out or there's a graduation that I need to get to and I'm scheduled for that Mass that day, they're always willing to back me up and help
wonderful.
me out. So yeah, so that's, I guess that might be my next assignment, retirement. But it's not exactly.
You're too young to retire,
Too
Sal.
young.
You're too vital. Who's going to take over Who's going to take care of the police?
Well,
as Columnane says, who's going to take care of the cops?
Who's going to take care? Cully will take care of the cops. Not to worry. But that's down the road. It's not here yet.
Great.
So that's
you're too important to our town.
Thank you.
And I know you still help with the firefighters or first responders.
First responders.
That's new language with us, right?
Right.
First responders.
Yeah.
To me, they were police and fire. But the first responders stick their necks out. I know that. Every
day, I have witnessed examples of heroism that go beyond my telling. It's amazing what these men and women will do.
Yep.
And the only time in 32 years that I ever have seen fear on their face was on 9/11, when we were driving in the city. When everything happened that morning, I got in the car, got into the city, could not get around, so I got on my motorcycle and
could get around.
And up until from about 10 o'clock until 1:30 or so, every time a plane flew over, everybody froze, and then everything was closed down. But during that
amazing experience for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I saw those men and women who couldn't do anything, but were still out there just in case something did happen.
It's a great experience for our country, Father. The first time we've been attacked ever
like that.
And but the first responders came through.
They were there.
They all worked at the Pentagon. I know that story very well, and I know what your parish did and the rest that was so important.
Yeah.
For visual. People saw the police and fire and they felt better.
And the only people basically in town after a few hours were the visitors.
Oh, I know that. They were trapped.
The tourists could not get out.
No, they couldn't go out.
Everybody that lived and worked here, they were able to get out by about 2 o'clock or so, 3 o'clock. It was literally a ghost town with first responders.
You're preaching to the choir. I happened to get caught at Army-Navy Country Club, but I got home. I went through downtown. I went through alleys and places I didn't even know existed, but that was a scary moment.
It was.
Because you didn't know what else was going to happen.
And so that is the only time that I ever experienced fear,
you saw the fear
on their faces.
Well, I hope our country got a lesson out of it, Father.
I sure hope so.
But this has been so great to spend time with you. You're absolutely a legend. You don't want to hear that, but you're too young to be anything but a legend, and for what you do for our town, we're so grateful.
Well, Andy, I thank you. It's been a pleasure and a privilege being here today, and it's what the people do for me is also amazing. They give so much back to me through their examples, through their faith, through their strength and their courage. I come out on top.
Well, we preach that, Father. The more you give, the more you get back.
It's the truth.
This is Our Town with Andy Ockershausen and Father Sal. I still like to call you Father Sal.
Call me Father Sal.
And you're the man, and thank you so much for all you do.
You're
and
welcome.
You do a lot, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Our Town Season 4, presented by Geico, our hometown favorite, with your host, Andy Ockershausen. New Our Town episodes are released each Tuesday and Thursday. Drop us a line with your comments or suggestions. See us on Facebook or visit our website at OurTownDC.com. Our special thanks to Ken Hunter, our technical director, and WMAL Radio in Washington, D.C. And thanks to Geico. 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance.